What's good, y'all? Welcome to Read the Tape. Today we're going to be talking about two topics at hand that I really wanted to handle on because one has to do with the defense, two has to do with this front management, the front office, whatever you want to call it, the head coach and the owner. I'm sure y'all all heard, but before we hop into it, man, make sure to hit that like button. Let's get into it. Just to jump right into it, man, we're talking about Mark Davis and Josh McDaniels. Supposedly, Mark Davis came out, and I quote, Josh McDaniels will be around for the years to come. Now, this might be 1 year, 2 years. I don't know what it really means. But at the end of the day, we just know that Josh McDaniels is going to be the head coach for a couple more years. That's what Mark Davis said. Now, at the same time, Mark Davis said in his introductory press conference, when we first were introduced to Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, that this team wasn't a rebuild. This team wasn't something that we needed to wait on. This team wasn't something that was going to be reloaded. No, this was something that we're going to stack off of last year, and we were going to go into this year and make the playoffs and win championships. That is what Mark Davis said at the press conference. It wasn't a rebuild. So I don't know why all of a sudden, in hindsight, everybody wants to talk about the fact that, oh, we need to learn the scheme. We need to figure out and make sure we get all the players part of this scheme to go ahead and move forward and be successful. That's not what was told. That's not what was said at the beginning of this. And now it's singing a whole different tone. So based on that, I can't really believe what Mark Davis says. I got to take his word with a grain of salt because at the beginning, like I said, I was expecting something else. We were all expecting this offense to click on all cylinders, to be high powered, especially when the defense, 6 out of 7 games, the defense has only allowed 24 or less points. I would assume if you told me at the beginning of the season that the defense held 6 of 7 teams to 24 or less points, I would assume we would win at least half of those games. At least half. I would assume the offense would be able to score more than 24 points. Okay. Now I don't want to dig too much into the offense, but at the same time, I don't know how I feel about Josh McDaniels being the head coach as well as Derek Carr being the quarterback. I am ready to move on. I'm ready for a new era, guys. I'm tired of the same old story, the same old thing, because we're going to be 3 years deep and we're going to be singing the same tune as we were when JDR was here and when John Gruden was here, I feel like. So hopefully something does change and we make the right changes. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that. And also, before, I wanted to talk about the Raquon Smith trade. I know he was traded to the Ravens for a second and a fifth round pick. And this is why I wanted to talk about it. Do we not have a second and a fifth round pick to trade for a premier linebacker to bring in, which we need? Did we just not watch Denzel Perriman get terrible every single week so far this year? Divine Diablo is not turning out what we want him to be. Jayon Brown is hurt, and he's even then. It's not like he's a long term solution. So going into this draft, what do we expect to do? Get a D tackle, get a linebacker. Why not just send a second for a linebacker like Raquon Smith? What are the chances we get that kind of quality in the second round upcoming draft? We don't know. We don't know. So the fact that we don't do it, it just really makes me cringe because it just shows how biased we are towards the offense. Because if this was a receiver, if this was a tackle, I definitely guarantee we would have been looking at it, or the news would have came out that we're in the race to try to bring them here. But because I feel like it's the defense side of the ball, all of a sudden now we can't bring in players. We can send a first and a second and throw $30 million a year at a wide receiver in Adams, but we can't throw a second and a fifth and maybe $10 million for a linebacker. This is why our defense isn't premier as it could be. We could definitely have a top tier defense, but and take a little bit away from the offense because you think about it, they scoring 0 points. You're scoring 0 points. So at the end of the day, it's like you invest all this into the offense. They're not producing. They're barely able to scrape points together. And you're failing to bring in premier players on the defense side of the ball at a cheap cost. Second and the fifth, we have a bunch of late round picks, a bunch of sevenths, a bunch of sixths, a bunch of fifths. How come we couldn't have brought him Roquan Smith? You still have a first, then you go get your D tackle. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. If we could have definitely went out there and got that linebacker, I think we could have. We should have made that move to bring him in and use our first for a D tackle this offseason in the draft. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Don't forget to hit that like button. Appreciate everybody that tunes in, man. Shout out to the nation for supporting as well. If y'all want to check out Redemption Brand, go check it out. The link is in the description. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Appreciate y'all pulling up. Till next time, man. Ready to tape.